So here we go then. Welcome to another edition of the Kings of Anglia Fan Social, the show where the KOA Army share their thoughts on all things town. And I hope you've all had a good week. Another bumper show to bring you. This week I'm joined by good old Matt Makin, Liam from Crewe and Bloomers as we discuss Town's win at Port Vale, and also got a KOA Army big question of the week and hot takes ahead of Charlton this weekend. Of course, Town looking to make it 3 wins on the bounce. Let's see how they can get on. Let's go right over to Matt Makin first of all. We're not going to muck about this time around. I'm going to get stuck into my pundits, my guests. Matty boy, I know you've been under the weather recently, but how are you, my friend?
Yeah, hi Ross. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I've been laid up with a lurgy for the last couple of days. I was getting a bit worried that I might not be recovered in time for Charlton on Saturday, but thankfully I'm over the worst of it now. You can probably hear I'm still a little bit nasally, but yeah, otherwise doing all right. Thank you. Managed to raise myself in the sickbed long enough to set up the laptop on Tuesday and tune into the Port Vale game on iFollow. So that kind of lifted my spirits to a degree.
Yes, my friend. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. And always a pleasure to have you on, my friend. And we've got Liam from Crewe, ladies and gentlemen, on the show. We were in his neck of the woods somewhat on Tuesday night, and he was there in the away end. How you doing, my friend?
Knackered. It's been a long week. Didn't get to bed until the very early hours of yesterday morning after that journey down from the Midlands, which that bit is in the Midlands, whereas my neck of the woods is like 20 minutes away across the border. It's still technically in the northwest, so I'm still a northerner. I'm not having any of what Paul says about Macclesfield being the furthest north. Anything south of that is south, so I'm still northern.
Yes, we can hear it in your voice, my friend. We can hear it indeed. But always a pleasure, my friend. And the final man joining us is Bloomers, who is also in his neck of the woods in terms of, was it your job when you were there and everything like that, Bloomers?
Yeah, nice to meet you again, Ross. Yeah, I was back in Stoke-on-Trent for the Port Vale game. I used to live in Stoke-on-Trent for a couple of years when I was working with a big reputable online bookmaker. I'm not sure if it's like the BBC and you can name them, so I'm just not going to. I'm very of the date right now. Looking at this video screen, I've got an American football jersey on for some reason. We'll get more on that later. And then there's a nice big Halloween style scythe behind me as well for my Halloween party I've got on Saturday night. But let's hope the Grim Reaper doesn't turn up at 5 o'clock on Saturday evening, shall we?
Bloomers. Mate, you're a man with many great talents, and wordsmith is one of them. Always a pleasure, my friend. And yeah, I completely forgot there's Halloween next week on Monday. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, that's a nice little question. Matt Makin, what would be your costume of choice if you had to pick a Halloween costume?
Oh, that's a good question because I've never really done the Halloween dressing up that much. I did once go to the weirdest Halloween come anniversary party. We had a Halloween party once mixed with my grandparents' 60th wedding anniversary at a pub in Cornwall. And I went as I was a bit of a naff zombie. Basically, I kind of played a bit of both worlds and put some smart clothes on and then some of those naff kind of wound things, make myself look a bit zombie-ish. But I mean, I'll probably go down the American tradition of just dressing up as like a villain from a film or something. Go down the Darth Vader route, something like that. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so yeah, a little bit of Darth Vader, cheap plastic red lightsaber, all the swings out. And the way I've been breathing this week, actually, I probably could do a pretty good impression of Darth Vader.
There we go. Definitely. Liam from Crewe, what's yours, my friend?
I went to a Halloween party at university and I was dressed up as Count Docula, which if probably you won't know, but that was a very early 90s cartoon, which was voiced by David Jason. So I went to a Halloween party dressed as Count Docula because that was the favourite cartoon growing up in the very early 90s.
Didn't he drink carrot juice instead of blood or something, wasn't
it? Yes.
I'm learning new things. Every day I learn new things. Definitely on this podcast when people share it. And Bloomers, we were actually going to leave it for later in the podcast, but I thought as we're now segueing over to you, let's talk about the recent partnership that the club have announced. And it is connected to well, one of the jerseys you're wearing, Tom Brady. I'll let you explain it a bit more. Everyone's, of course, seen it online. American football fans, I know there's a lot of crossovers of Town fans and American football as well, because we've got a lot of Town fans who love American football. So take it away, my friend.
I had this joke for Halloween costumes. You were going to come back to me, so I'm going to say it now. I would have dressed up as a European trophy and gone and scared the shit out of Norwich City. No one's laughing because everyone's on mute, just in case you listen to.
Yeah, so I was about to have some water, and then
when you said it, really harsh on me. I'm pranking you.
No, that was very good. For those of you listening, I was applauding.
Yes, quick point of order. Breaking news in the last half an hour almost. Ipswich Town announced a partnership with TB12, which is the business of one Tom Patrick Brady, the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and probably almost universally greatest American football player of all time, and probably one of the biggest North American athletes ever. Must be up there with Tiger Woods in terms of marketability and sort of grasp on the world stage. But yeah, it's a weird one. According to the press release by the club, and I think it was Mark Ashton doing the quote. I'm just going to get it up now. I believe Ipswich are the first UK club to officially partner with TB12, who basically what he's done is launch his own global health and wellness brand. He's 45 years old now and has been in the NFL for 22 years. That's basically the biggest anomaly there is. Most quarterbacks only play 5 years. He's won 7 Super Bowls, so again, more than anyone else ever. And he's still playing, if not at the very peak, very near his peak of powers at such a late age. And he puts it all down to his fitness routine, the TB12 method. By the sounds of it, Ipswich are going to be taking on the method a little bit at least. There's body coach Chris Souza, who there's a picture of him at the bottom of this press release. Apparently we're working closely with Town's players, and we'll be following the TB12 method, which focuses on performance and recovery techniques applicable to athletes at all levels and those living an active lifestyle. Now, how much of this is actually going to be sort of partnered with Brady remains to be seen. I don't know if there's going to be Tampa Bay Buccaneers jerseys filling Planet Blue anytime soon, but it's certainly an eye-catching deal. And put it this way, it's one you could never see happening 2 years ago. So how much of it is a gimmick, I have no idea, because again, we're in uncharted waters. By the sounds of it, it's something that's very off the wall and unique. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see just how much of a partnership there is, and whether we will see some TB12 merchandise in Planet Blue. Quick fun question at the end of this little spiel. In fact, actually, no, any of you guys got any quotes, then I'll go on to the fun little question, because I appreciate this might not be your immediate area of expertise, American football, but I'm sure you can appreciate the partnership between Town and, you know, one of the, again, biggest stars playing sport currently, especially the other side of the pond.
I think it's just mad that you can see a Tom Brady picture on the club website. You know, as you said, biggest athlete, you know, American football and in world sport in general. So it's just, I'm sure there's some people like, wow, it's Tom Brady on Ipswich Town website. And it's, you know, I don't know how much he's probably not going to be involved, and we won't see him at a Port Road game, Tom Brady, or you never know. You never say never. But yeah, it's mad. Liam, Matt, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I said in the green room beforehand, I would say American football's not my thing, but I might be on the wrong side of history there as a grumpy bloke going, oh, I don't get it. It's not rugby, but no, it's good. But I think regardless of what you think about NFL, whether you love it, like it, dislike it, hate it, whatever, you know, like Bloomer said, having sort of 2 years ago, until under Marcus Evans, this sort of partnership was cloud cuckoo land. And I'm all for things that will improve sort of physical and mental well-being for anybody, whether it's the club or otherwise. And I think sort of just picking up on something I can say only was announced not long sort of before we started recording. So I think a lot of it is around sort of the dietary side, is around plant-based diets, which we know will please our good friend Bono. He of the having a plant-based dish named after him at the Greyhound football menu. But yeah, if it gives us an edge in terms of sort of our physical and mental performance, then yeah, I'm all for it. And again, it's good marketability. It links us to, well, it kind of ties in with all the great sort of marketing, commercial opportunities we've had under Game Changer. And I think the fact that we're linked with not only like the arguably the biggest pop star in the world at the moment in terms of sort of sponsorship on the back of our shirts, but also sort of with one of the North America's biggest athletes, is huge really for a club of our size and where we are in the football pyramid at the moment.
Liam?
Liam, that was your segue. Get him up.
Well, I mean, I have no interest in American football like Matt, but essentially it's been aligning the brand, isn't it? Because I was going to say about Ed Sheeran, and Matt took it just away from me just at the end. Obviously, aligning ourselves to worldwide brands is just going to make the club even bigger, the name go worldwide, really. If you were going to, obviously, in a football term, try and associate the football club with something to do with football, then obviously you'd think immediately David Beckham, wouldn't you? One of the most iconic footballers on the planet. And what a brand he's become since he's retired. Well, Tom Brady obviously still going, but he is a massive brand. And to be associated with that, it doesn't matter if he's not going to actually be directly involved at the football club. Just having his name associated potentially is just going to bring so much more visibility of the club, especially in America, where the American owners are, to release the brand even further across that continent. So I'm all for it. I'm all for the club trying to push itself around the world as we try and climb back up the pyramid.
I completely agree. I mean, I say I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and I'm currently wearing Tom Brady's jersey. It's a bit bizarre, all of this, but yeah, I mean, just a quick one about the TB12 method. I'm not going to do all my best Julian McKeith stuff on you, but I'll just read some of the lines on the website. It's a series of healthy daily habits across 5 pillars: pliability, nutrition, hydration, movement, and mental fitness. Just to give a quick fun one. So drinking water is very key as part of this diet. Ross is drinking, I assume, not Russian standards by holding up a clear glass.
It's H2O, not straight vodka.
There's water in this, I think.
Actually, I don't know where my bottle. I did have a bottle on me. I don't know where it's gone. Anyways, just how much water a day do you think Tom Brady recommends that you should have? Just this is for Brady himself. He's 200 pounds. I can't do the. Actually, hey Siri, what's 200 pounds in stone?
200 pounds is 14.29 stone.
Okay, so for someone who's 14 stone, how much water do you think they should have? Answers, you three go. A day. Answers in obviously milliliters.
Of course, we've got a strike coming up as well.
2,500 milliliters.
Yeah, this is the strike. The strike started early.
Yes,
Ross
2,500 milliliters, I reckon.
How much? Sorry.
2,500 milliliters.
So 2.5 liters, Ross.
Yeah.
Can I just say higher? I don't.
That's a conservative guess, to be fair.
I'll say 4 liters.
3.3 liters a day.
Technically, that's what I was saying.
So just think about think about a pint, which is 568. So you've got to have 6 and a bit pints. 6 and a bit pints a day. It sounds about like Charlton away on Saturday, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Definitely. But I'm sure like you're a big Tampa Bay fan, Bloomer, so I'm sure it is just unreal just seeing a picture of Tom Brady on our website.
Bizarre.
And,
very bizarre.
Yeah, brilliant. But there we go then, ladies and gentlemen. Some breaking news on the podcast. And let's segue back to Tuesday night. Town, of course, winning 3-2 at Port Vale. Freddie Dapo scoring 2, but Cameron Humphrey stole the show. Of course, his first league start, scoring absolute weldy of a goal. Matt Makin, your takeaways from the game, my friend?
Yeah, it was an interesting, wasn't it? I was gutted not to be there. I've done Stoke City, so I wanted to do Port Vale as well, just to complete the Stoke-on-Trent set. But even without being unwell this week, just a Tuesday night game was just no good for me, and with work commitments at the moment. So at least I was able to tune in on iFollow. But I mean, we made harder work of it than we needed to. We 2-0 up and cruising, and then all of a sudden you concede that sloppy goal just before half time, and then concede an equaliser straight after the restart. But I think what's good about Tuesday night was there, and again, that's a game that's very similar. Well, it's almost identical at one point to the Cambridge game away at the Abbey last season, where we were 2-0 up and cruising, and then ended up drawing it 2-2. We managed to get ourselves back in front. I thought Freddie the Dapo looked good on Tuesday night. Watching it on iFollow, he's got 2 goals. Hopefully that's his confidence boosting up. When he came on against Derby on Friday, I must admit I'm a big Freddie the Dapo fan. Not as big as Mark Beck is mine, but not many of us can be. But I thought he really did look like he had lead in his boots on Friday night. So to see him sort of back on form was brilliant. And I mean, Cameron Humphrey's goal. I mean, I think I sent a very excitable voice note on the KOA Army WhatsApp group, because that was a hell of a strike. But there was some good team play for all the goals as well. I think particularly for Humphrey's goal as well. And we managed to see it out. It wasn't comfortable viewing. It certainly wasn't comfortable viewing at home in the second half. I'll have to look to Lehman Bloomers about how comfortable or uncomfortable it was in the stand in the second half. But again, that's a game we'd have drawn or gone on and lost last season, and we do have that mental and physical fortitude now, that we are able to deal with sort of adverse situations in games most of the time, and sort of get through it. And that's another 3 points, which is very important, bearing in mind Plymouth dropped points on Tuesday night. Oh no, they didn't. They won in the end, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
They did. They don't drop points. But one thing I do know for sure is Sheffield Wednesday dropped points last night as well. So there's now, I think, what's a 5-point gap between coming off the back of a tough Friday night against Derby and getting a win there. That's 2 wins on the spin. We're keeping the pace with Plymouth, and we need to be. If people, I mean, I'm still not sure whether they'll fall off or not like they did last season. But if they do fall off, we need to be right behind them to take advantage of that. So if we can be keeping pace with them, that's only a good thing, and we're slowly starting to widen that gap between us and the playoff spots. So yeah, it was all in all good. But one thing I will say is we need to be a little bit better at the back, because we were quite frail, and I'm quite keen to see us play sort of passing it out from the back, But there was a couple of times where I was almost falling off the sofa, because it felt a little bit suicidal at points. And I think Luke Wolfenden was guilty of his great strength is how calm he is, but it's also a bit of his weakness as well, about he can be a little bit too laid back. And there was a couple of times I thought we were going to play ourselves right into trouble, and it's going to look like when you press the wrong button on FIFA and giving the ball away in your own area.
Yeah, I do that a lot. Sorry to say, I do that a lot. But yeah, Liam, you were there in the away ends. I don't think we're expecting a 5-goal thriller. I think a lot of people predicted maybe a 1-0, 2-0 win. Normally, when we do predictions, we normally actually lose if we do all wins. But it's 3 points in the bag, and we've said already, that is the sort of game we would have lost last season, but we didn't. We kept it 3-2. But yeah, overall takeaways from the game, my friend.
It's a strange game, wasn't it? Really, first 20 minutes has been like the last 3 games in a nutshell. Very slow start, pedestrian passing. Not a lot of creativity, really. Port Vale, to be fair, didn't really do a lot either, although they did have the best chance of the game with, I think it was Ellis Harrison with the header that he put wide. But I never felt like we were under huge pressure. We were just kind of playing ourselves into trouble, really, by being just so slow and allowing them to press high and do it effectively, pushing us back into our own half. But then as soon as we started upping it, and I mean, the ball from Dom, wide to Leif Davis, I mean, that was just an absolute killer of a ball that just completely took out Port Vale's midfield completely. out wide, and obviously Ladapo in the middle to tap in. And then it was strange when we went 2-0 up. It was literally suddenly you're sitting there thinking, how many are we going to get tonight now? It's going to be a matter of how many. And I literally did not see Port Vale scoring. And then we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with a really just fallen asleep, to be honest. At the back, a couple of players switched off, conceded that really poor goal. And you're thinking at half time, well, okay, let's go again. Let's try and get the third and give ourselves a cushion again. And we go and do the complete opposite, and from another cross as well, which is a little bit worrying. This time, obviously, a corner. We go and concede within 2-3 minutes of a restart. And then you're thinking, oh, damn. Now suddenly you're thinking from a comfortable 2-0 position, how many are we going to score? 3 points in the bag to suddenly we're only drawing, we might lose this. And then we get the goal. And as Matt said earlier, talking about how comfortable we were, I would say it wasn't that comfortable, but at the same time, I don't think Port Vale created a huge amount. I don't think there was much Walton had to do. It was just obviously every time the ball went into the mixer, especially with what had happened gone before, that you're a little bit worried from crosses that Town were going to fold again. But they held out. And I think the key thing is what Matt was talking about winning a game like that when not playing as well. For me, I'm not too bothered about Plymouth at the moment. If we stay with Plymouth, well, great. But at the moment, I'm looking down below and trying to see the gap increase. And I think we're up to 14 points now from 7th, which is key. And hopefully, with Sheffield Wednesday dropping points, that's now 5. We can now increase that gap. And look, want to win the league, but if we go up second, I'm not bothered. As long as we go up, I'm not bothered if it's first or second. I honestly think, though, Plymouth, they may have a period where they will start faltering potentially. I think January will be an interesting month for them because their key players, most of them are on loan. So it'll be a question of will they keep those players or will the parent club recall them? And if they have to then return those players, they then have to go out and replace them with other loanees potentially. Will they fit the same?
Liam, sorry to interrupt here. We're talking about the Port Vale game, not Plymouth.
No, I know, but the
just
point
saying. I'm being brutal now. I was too kind last week. I'm being brutal now. If it was segue onto something different, it's not. Yeah, but carry on.
The point I'm making though is at the end of the day, a win is kept us up there, and I don't care about Plymouth at the moment. So, but Leif Davis gets better and better. That's for me. That's a big thing.
Yes. I'm sorry, Liam. That was very rude of me. I'm normally a very polite young man, but I was like, where's he going here with Plymouth? But yeah, they're be very interesting when we play them, when we do play them next year. Bloomers, let's bring you in, my friends. Let's talk more about players who, Ladapo 2 goals. As I said, Cameron Humphreys stole the show with his performance. How good was Cameron Humphreys?
I mean, put it this way, in fact, this is really embarrassing, but I'll fully admit to it. I went to the game with a Stoke City fan, a friend of mine who's born and bred in Stoke and still lives there. So he thoroughly enjoyed the 5 goals anyways. We were just going through the team at the start of the game when the lineups were announced. And he was just like looking through, told me the ones he'd heard of. We got to the back, he was looking at the defence. I was like, oh yeah, Wolfenden, everyone loves him. He's a local lad. He's the only local lad in the starting lineup. Completely forgetting about Cameron Humphreys. But I think that kind of, it almost is a way, it was just, not that it wasn't surprising. It wasn't surprising him being in the starting lineup because of the injuries that we had. So it's understandable that he came in. But then the fact that he transitioned in that game to look like someone who'd been there from time immemorial was so impressive. And yeah, I mean, what more can you ask for from a full debut when you get a goal, an assist, and
the general consensus is you were man of the match, if not one of the men of the match. I believe, although I never actually saw this, or maybe I was just too busy waving my scarf around my head, that in the first sort of 30 seconds, someone put a reducer on him, or someone gave him a bit of a rough and tumble, but he stood up to it brilliantly. And again, like towards the end of the game, he made a fantastic challenge on the touchline that stopped a potential counter attack from Vale. And yeah, most people are clambering for him to start over Ball on Saturday, assuming, as we all do, that Moores is going to come straight back in, which 99.9999% he will. It's a lot to ask for a youngster to come in and have 2 away games in 4 days. 5 days. 4 days. 5 days. I'm confused.
I think it's 4 days. Wednesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday. I had 2 games in 5 days. I was right.
You sure that's water in your bottle, Bloomers?
But yeah, like we'll see if he does get the nod. I tend to think he won't. But when you look at the characteristics the squad is making up for, and how much it seems to mean to each and every player, even ones that aren't playing, like the scenes after the game again, where everyone surrounded Humphreys, just like a lot of them surrounded Kyle Edwards after the Cambridge game. Clearly, it's a very tight-knit group. And I saw John Jules as well. After the Vale game, I think he was with Janoy Danassian or Freya Dapo. It's on the Town and 5 video. But he's dancing around, loving life. And again, he was one that, has come and gone throughout the season. He's never been a regular starter. But when you've got the likes of the fringe players, fringe in inverted commas, if you like, showing the emotion that they're doing, that there's clearly something right going on at the moment. And for someone like Humphrey to come in and look like he's just part of that solid unit so easily is a testament to McKenna and Martin Pert and all of the backroom staff, and the togetherness that this squad's built on their own. It's just also pleasing. So something's gonna have to go wrong soon.
Yeah. And one thing I love as well, Bloomers, and some people won't know this, at away games, every time I know it's full time, I look round and you're there front and centre with your scarf. Definitely for one. I don't know, maybe even with lost, you may be screaming and going, bloody hell, rubbish, rubbish. But thankfully on Tuesday night, you were celebrating.
We'll come on to that for the match.
Yes, yeah, for Charlton, as people may have seen back in December when we did the game day at the Valley. And yeah, we'll get on to that. Any other notes, boys, from Port Vale? Lots already been covered, of course, on the main pod and other stuff. But Matt, Liam, Bloomers, start with you, Matt.
I just wanted to add on what Bloomers was saying about sort of Cam Humphreys sort of being like he'd been there all this time. I missed it on any replays, whatever, watching it on iFollow on Tuesday night. But somebody, I can't remember, might have been in the KOA chat, might have been in another ITFCF chat. Apparently there was a shot of him giving stick to somebody when Port Vale pulled one back. And I thought, to be fair, there's some senior players in that squad you're playing alongside. So he had the brass there to pick up where things had gone wrong, and choose somebody out. That's a good sign going forward, that he's not afraid to do that with his peers who've got a lot more league experience than he has. I completely agree with Bloomers both on what he said about Humphreys looking like he's been there. You forget that's actually his first league start, because we've seen him come off the bench a couple of times and he started some trophy games. So you forget actually that's his first league start on Tuesday night. And then that togetherness in the squad as well. I'm completely with you, Bloomers, on that. That's fantastic to see. We've had years and years where we've had so many lone players in the squad, and it has looked just like a group of individuals. And even to an extent, under Cook at the start of last season, it felt like just a big group of individuals rather than a team. But yeah, whatever McKenna and Pert and their team have done, the fact that you've got somebody like, I'm going to say Danny John Jules, then Tyrese John Jules, whooping, and in fact, you forget he's a lone player. He's not even our player, and the fact that he's that invested, is an absolute testament. There's a real good feeling around the club in general, playing and non-playing stuff. It's fantastic to see.
I mean, do you remember under Lambert, the first season we're in League One?
Forget about that, mate.
Yeah, okay, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to. Those few occasions where after the game they were all doing this Bundesliga style, whatever the hell that was, and how contrived and forced it all felt. And Paul Cook's little jogging out the tunnel at the start of each game was like all that stuff. So it didn't feel authentic. And I mean, these sets of us set of supporters, like we can sense this a mile off. Like we can sense phonies a mile off, and I think that's what makes it all the more sweet is that you really do get the sense it's all genuine. I mean, Liam, you being someone who 15, 20 years ago wasn't part of the town tribe, like what do you think now that you can notice a difference between when you first started going and now?
I can see a massive difference. I can tell you, my first season as a season ticket holder was 2 wins, 2 goals, and relegation. And I was kind of persuaded to get that season ticket on a whole new era after McCarthy had left, and in the end, the new era turned out to be an odyssey in League One, which hasn't actually finished yet. So it is a massive difference, and a lot of it obviously has come from the takeover, because the quality of player is so much better than it was beforehand. I mean, loanees are great, but they're not your players, whereas these now are our players, and that's the key thing. And you talk about John Jules. I mean, there could be an opportunity to get him permanently. The only thing I would say about that is I didn't think the substitutions in the second half actually helped us, because I thought Ladapo was very, very good up front, and I think he was not great against Derby, and he was definitely not great against Sheffield Wednesday when he came on. I wonder if he performs better when he starts than having to be pushed into the fray in the second half. I don't know. You're
talking about John Jules now, aren't you? You're talking about John Jules, not Ladapo, because Ladapo scored twice.
No, yeah, but Ladapo, I think Ladapo plays better when he starts than he does when he comes off the bench. There's 2 games this season against 2 fairly big clubs in Derby and Sheffield Wednesday where he's come off and not played particularly well, looked interested, if anything. Whereas when he started, he's looked pretty good, to be honest. I think some of the stick I've already said before is unwarranted. But John Jules, he didn't win the ball when he came on. He was struggling to keep the ball up front, and that was largely then leading to Port Vale attacking us. So I didn't think the subs actually worked. I thought we could have kept Ladapo maybe for another 10 minutes, maybe, before making that. And Harness, again, came on, gave the ball away a bit and didn't go into the 50-50s. But I know we have 5 subs, but sometimes I think, do we always need to make those substitutions if things are going all right? And at that time, Ladapo was holding up the ball and bringing players into play. He went off, and we kind of lost that, and we kind of allowed Port Vale to then get more on top of us and start flinging those balls into the box. But I don't know.
I completely agree with you, and I think it's very similar to when Ladapo came off quite early against Plymouth, and again we lost that ability to make the ball stick up top at home park, and we got punished that day, whereas obviously we didn't on Tuesday. But yeah, I think, like you say, Ladapo from the off, he's very good, and there's a lot he does that's not goal scoring in terms of keeping that ball up front and stretching defenders and bringing other people into play. That is perhaps the less sexy side of what he does, what a number 9 does in a Kieran McKenna formation. And again, I think it was 65 minutes he came off on Tuesday, and again I was thinking, that's a little bit early. That's the one thing. I hate to criticise Kieran McKenna because he's got so much right this season, but I do sometimes think, it does sometimes feel like, well, we're making that change for the sake of making a change because we've got 5 subs and good depth on the bench. But hey, we won, so what do I know?
Very true, my friend. But no, always good opinions. And it sort of segues nicely, actually, onto the KOA Army question of the week, and it is, which town player has surprised you the most this season? So Bloomers, we'll start with you because we've not heard from you for a little bit. So which player are you picking surprised you most this season so far?
I think the answer is Lee Evans. I think most of us could see there was a player in Lee Evans since he's been here. He was certainly never even labelled like a flop or anything like that prior to this season. But I think the way he's formed that partnership with Morsey so effectively has surprised me. It's the title of the question. Has surprised me. It's going to be interesting to see how actually we hold up on a more than one game basis without him. Now that the news that came out today, actually, there's another bit of news. Sorry if you were going to go on this later, Ross. That
no, it sort of segues nicely now. Carry on.
Okay, Evans is out with medial ligament damage, but it's not season-ending. But it looks like it will be weeks rather than months. I mean, he made 27 appearances in League One last season. He's already made 15 this season, so he was well on his way to smashing that appearance total this season. And yeah, I mean, he became one of the first names on the team sheet very, very quickly. I know that Evans had that hat trick against Doncaster last season, didn't he, in the 6-0? And again, we all thought, oh, here we go. It might have turned out a bit more of a Grant Ward than a who else scored a hat trick in the last 10 years, which was Darryl Murphy. But yeah, it's really pleasing that sort of midfield axis became so strong so early on. And hopefully with Ball, Humphreys, and possibly Kamara, if he plays in that similar role, or if McKenna tweaks it for when he's fully fit, do we have the capacity to withstand us losing Evans for the foreseeable? Time will tell, but I wouldn't want to be in a position where we're relying on Cameron Humphreys, not because of himself, just because you don't ever want to be relying on an 18-year-old week in, week out. But fortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case.
Okay, no, good choice, Lee Evans. Yeah, he has, or for a lot of people, he's down as the player of the year so far. But injuries always come at the wrong time for players, and sadly, it's come for Lee Evans. But I'm sure he'll be hopefully to get back as quick as he can. Matt Makin, which player are you choosing?
This was a tough one because I almost went down the same road as Bloomers and picked Lee Evans, but for me, I thought actually he was starting to show that promising signs under McKenna last season before obviously he missed the end of the season through injury. So I thought maybe it's quite not a surprise for me. I think for me it's Kyle Edwards, and obviously that's quite a recent one with him sort of breaking into that first team, and he's obviously had some good performances in trophy matches, and he's managed to earn the right to get a go. And I really think, like, when I was the same as a lot of people when we signed him last summer, I thought you watched him sort of against Morecambe at the first game of the season last year, and you thought, oh crikey, how have we signed a player like this in League One, And then he really went off the board, and whether that's because Cook was playing him out of position or whether there was an attitude problem or whatever, I'm not quite sure. And he kind of faded away. And I almost thought, is this kind of there's a player in there, but does he need a move away to start again because it's all gone so wrong so quickly for him at Ipswich? But he seems to have doubled down, and from what McKenna said about his attitude in training, it's been exemplary, and he's worked his way back into contention, and he obviously unfortunately I missed the Cambridge game because of work. Obviously he had a great game against Cambridge, and I thought again when he came on Friday night, he looked very good against Derby, and again obviously and on Tuesday night watching again him against Port Vale, he was causing some real havoc down the left hand side, and what he can do with the ball at his feet is very good, and the fact that he's now actually I'm pleasantly surprised, I suppose, the way he put it, because I honestly thought he maybe wouldn't reach his potential with us, and perhaps it would be for him a bit of a failed experiment moving to Ipswich, and he might have to go elsewhere to find his form again. But I'm very happy to be wrong on that one, and he just looks so happy as well, and he's so pleased, and it all comes back to what we were talking about just now about that togetherness, that obviously he's had that support from the other players in the team, and he's had that sort of arm around shoulder from McKenna and the coaching staff, and it's I'm hoping that sort of he carries on this sort of this upward trajectory.
Yeah, in the celebrations, he's always there with a big smile on his face, always dancing. It's always good to see. A great character having in the squad. Liam, we've had Kyle Edwards, we've had Lee Evans. Have you got another player, or are you echoing both Bloomers and Matt's thoughts?
For me, it's Cam Burgess. I think last season we obviously knew he would be good enough for League One, and we knew he was going to be a good, solid League One defender. Struggled to really get into the team and do a lot. Had a little run near the back end of the season, and then obviously the red card at Shrewsbury. Kind of, you're thinking, is he going to be in McKenna's plans going forward? He stays in the summer. But we all know that he's not going to really get a chance to be in that back three. And so obviously with Edmondson's injury, he started the season absolutely brilliantly. And he was a colossus at the back. He was fantastic, a lot better than I would give him credit for. Some people might just call him just a typical League One defender, but he's actually was one of our, if not the best defender in that back three for a period. And then obviously that cruel injury at Bristol Rovers kind of lost him his place. But how many people actually were saying last season that Cameron Burgess should be starting ahead of Edmondson? And then all of a sudden, Burgess is starting ahead of Edmondson on merit. It wasn't even Edmondson was on his way back. He got back, but Burgess was starting ahead of him on merit. And I think, and it did surprise me. And he has surprised me. And I hope that we will still see the same player as we did pre-injury. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see on that. He made his return on Tuesday night. And what a man mountain he is to come on with a face mask, having so many screws in his face after pretty much reconstruction surgery after that really dreadful injury against Bristol Rovers. And he's come on to basically be physical at the back and head balls away. I mean, the man is just an absolute mountain. So I tip my hat off to him. I think he's been brilliant.
It's not often an X-ray makes you queasy, but when he tweeted that picture of the X-ray about how smashed up his face got, that
like
definitely turned my stomach. Yeah, definitely. And there's something. I mean, he's quite an imposing player already. The fact that he came on with a mask, I mean, it always adds a +1 to a player's intimidating nature. But Cam Burgess with a mask on, that's you're going up against him. That's got to strike a little bit of fear into you. He's got to look like some sort of super villain on the pitch. I imagine anyone facing up against him.
Yeah, that was fair play to Cameron Burgess. We knew he was a hard Scottishman, but he proved that coming on. And as you said, he had to come on when we were defending to keep the lead. But no, good choices, boys. Let's segue nicely onto the strike then. Matt Makin, Liam from Crewe and Bloomers go head to head. 4 questions plus a tiebreaker as standard. 4 questions pretty much all around Charlton and just connections and stuff like that. Let me just quickly get this up. And if you can hear my fan in the background, ladies and gentlemen, it's actually my fan on my laptop, which has just decided to come alive. So hopefully it's not too bad. Boys, can you hear it? No?
I can't hear it, but I'm now worried that your laptop's going to go bang before we finish recording.
Yeah, I'm fearing. So the shadowy arching figures, if you're listening, I may need a new laptop because my fan is just alive, but maybe it's not picking up, which is good.
The porker doesn't have to sign off on that, does he? Because you might struggle.
Yeah, I may do. But yeah, it was good to see good old Mike Bacon on the main pod, the flagship show this week. Big up him. Okay, question 1. He's on Cameron Humphreys. Of course, we praised him a lot. And of course, he actually made his league debut in the Blues' 2-0 defeat at Charlton last season, coming on as a sub. But for who? Was it Luco, Fraser, or Kyle Edwards? Of course, I think we were 2-0 down at that point. He came on. You felt so sorry for him, really. Like making your league debut for the club you've been 7 years of age. And
that was an absolute mess that night. I
was.
felt really sorry for him to even be considered to come on. He just came on and ran around the pitch, and it was just sad because I think he would have been better just sitting on the bench and not being part of that.
Yeah. But yeah, who did he come on for? What do you reckon?
I've gone. I don't know if you can see that because of the light. Fraser.
Fraser.
Luco.
Funny enough, you're all actually wrong. It's actually Carl Edwards. So
Oh.
there we go.
I thought we might have sold Scott Fraser by then. That's why I didn't say him.
That was in December.
It was December, wasn't it? So I was just before.
Yeah, he signed.
He'd obviously been for a little tour around the valley before the match at that point.
Yeah. And do you know what? It may say question 3, but I am going to do the Scott Fraser question now. So I'm just going to bring it in. What shirt number?
Renegade.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, what shirt number does Scott Fraser wear at Town? Was 11, 17, or 20? If this was the last question, I wouldn't have done it. As it's the third question, I can just go back to the second question because it's still 0-0-0. No one's got a point so far, so it doesn't matter at that stage. Yeah, 11, 17, or 20. Take away, boys.
I've gone 11.
11.
Oh, bugger. I think it is 11. I went 20.
It is 11. Matt has gone 11 as well. So it is 1-1-0. So there we go. Question 2, but question 3. But it says question 2 on here. Of course, we've got a lot of Town players who've got connections with Charlton and Town because of just, we was Charlton Town for a while. So I've just picked one player, and I've picked Darren Bent. And of course, he was back at Portland Road doing TalkSport. Matt Holland was back as well on Friday night. He pretty much is nowadays a lot. But I thought, let's pick Darren Bent because why not? Now, do you know what Darren Bent's middle name is, boys? Is it Ashley, Francis, or Lee? Just me, like my middle names. Always a good question to bring you. So just think it in your head. Is it Darren Bent? And yeah, okay. Ashley.
I've gone Ashley.
Ashley.
I've gone Lee.
It is Ashley. It is Ashley. So Liam is 2-1-1. So Liam's in the front, going to the final question. And the final question is actually a true or false question. So, true or false, Town have won more games at the Valley than Charlton in 28 games. Well, I've mixed up the strike this week. Bring you a true and a false. So, yeah, how many games? 28 games. Have Town won? Actually, double check the actual answer here. So you got time to think, guys. Didn't actually put the answer down on my notes. So have a little think, and I will be there with you shortly. No looking up yourselves. I trust you, but you never know. You've got time here to cheat if you wanted to. Okay, yeah, got it. Okay.
I'm gonna go
False.
True.
It's actually false. They've actually basically, yeah, they've won 11, drawn 4, and lost 13 at the Valley. That is 28, isn't it? That is 28 games. So Liam for Crewe's won again. Liam, you've done it again. We've got a tiebreaker though, of course, my friend. What do you reckon? You gonna gamble?
Well, I gambled last time and I lost it on the direct one with Peachy.
So
Gamble.
Yeah.
So shall I just be the first person in strike history to not gamble and just go,
that
I'll
would be
gamble.
very boring.
Go.
Yeah.
That would be very boring, Liam.
Yeah. Now I don't know how this tiebreaker can. It may work, it may not, but we shall see. Because normally it is closest to the correct answer, but actually, to be fair, it can be still the same. But what position in League One did Charlton finish last season? It's actually, it does still work. Like how many goals, pretty much, because if you get it bang on, you've won. But of course, Liam has won overall. Even if you get closer, still Liam still wins. Okay, Liam, let's start with you, my friend.
I've gone 14th.
Okay, Matt.
12th.
Ooh, okay.
Literally, I know you could see me writing as Matt said it. I also said 12.
Oh,
Well, isn't that where we finished?
No, we finished 11th, and I've got a feeling they finished one place behind us.
no, it's 13th. 13th place. There we go.
I think they might have been a place behind us going into the last day when we bumped them.
I'm now Googling. I'm now going to Google League One.
Just to double check I got it right, just in case.
No, I believe you got it right. I just want to know who finished in between us and Charlton.
Yeah,
actually
I
wanna
can't
know,
remember now.
But let me know just in case if I have got it wrong.
So
'Cause you know me, later.
hang on. Ipswich finished 11th with 70 points. Charlton finished in 13th with 59 points. That's 11 points less. And 12th place was Accrington Stanley.
Wow.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
61
are, eh?
points. We finished one place above Accrington in the Football League pyramid.
But 9 points though, by 9 points. But still,
mean,
yeah,
great.
The funny thing with that was when we had that horrible night at the Valley, they went above us and they were like flying. They must have gone like 6 or 7 points ahead of us when we were on that bad run and they were flying. And then come the end of the season, they've just like dropped and have finished 11 points behind us. It's just nuts.
Their form dropped off a cliff not long after Christmas, if I recall.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, and obviously then their manager got
thing
banned.
of Accrington in League One where they seem to pick up a lot of points early on, and then that's enough to keep them out of trouble for the back end of the season. But this season, well, I mean, they're not in the bottom 4, but they are only 3 points off the drop, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. I do like Accrington. I mean, Andy Holt can be a bit Marmite, but I've got no ill will to Accrington.
No,
I mean, Andy Holt is a bit Marmite on Twitter. I'm sure he's a lovely person, but
yeah. But yeah, there we go then. Liam, you haven't had a chance to do your speech, my friend. This week you have won the strike because, of course, you gambled last time and Beach you won because you got it bang on. But you have won outright this time around. Your thoughts, your speech.
I'm getting good at these. I seem to do very well at these. Maybe when the Invitational comes about again next summer, I'll be one of the leading front runners all of a sudden from being like just a first round minnow that was just there for participation. I'm becoming a juggernaut. So come on then, bring it on.
I like my friend, and it's not fixed, ladies and gentlemen. I know me and Liam are very close, and he does drive me about a lot bit, and we can maybe a lot of talking in the car. But this is all from Liam. He went for it, and he of course guessed very well. Okay, then the strike is done for another week. It's now time for a new feature on the podcast, and it's not unique, but it's hot takes. Instead of doing a basic preview to look ahead to Town's game against Charlton, we keep you up, Bloomers. Bit of a yawn there on video.
I shouldn't. Yeah, I shouldn't be tired because I'm staying up to watch the American football tonight. So it'll be 4 a.m. until I get to bed.
Bloody hell, mate! Get some energy in you somehow.
I'll be mainlining coffee to my veins. Don't worry.
Yes, like it. But yes, hot takes, ladies and gentlemen, hot takes. So time to predict something that could happen in the game, from the sublime to ridiculous. Matt Makin, what are you going for?
Well, my first one was happening out of the game, in that Bloomers would be recognised by at least 2 stewards after his now infamous explosion at the Valley in December. I thought, well, that's not on pitch, really, is it? I don't know. On pitch, I don't know. My hot take, and it's because I'd love to see it, is Janoi Donasian's going to score a goal. You know, he had that whiff against Plymouth. I believe it was a confirmed whiff by the panel. And yeah, and that's my hot take. Donasian to finally score a goal for Ipswich Town.
How's it going to happen?
Do you know what I want to say? Just to make it even more ludicrous, given how poor our defending has been against set piece late, it's going to be from a corner, headed from a corner.
Ooh, Janoi normally stays at the back though. That's the only bad thing about
That's what I mean. That's why it's got to be a hot take. He's just going to come steaming in.
Yeah, or you said it could be like late in the game, and he just wants that could be a winner.
Absolutely.
And as I've got you, Matt, actually quickly, just your quick score prediction. Then, so Janoi's going to score. What's going to score prediction going to be?
I think it's going to be 3-1 Ipswich. I think there was. I know we made hard work of it on Tuesday night, but I think we are a better side than Charlton. Charlton can be a little bit patchy. It all depends on what sort of team turns up on the day. I don't think we are a little bit frail at the back. We've seen that, especially from set pieces the last few games. Got caught out against Lincoln the other week, obviously. Caught out from set pieces on Tuesday night. So I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, but I think 3-1 Town. I'm going confident.
Okay then. Well then, Liam from Crewe, over to you. Take it away. Your hot take for Charlton.
Now, as Bloomers has worked in this area, I want him to judge on what odds I might get for this. I am going for Scotty Fraser to step up from the penalty spot, do another Burton. The ball ends up going all the way up the other end of the park, and Ladapo finishes it off on the counter to put Town ahead. What are you giving me for that, Bloomers?
I've got 404 error.exe.
Yeah, correct answer. That is more of a request to bet, and I don't know if you could ever get.
You'd love to see it, though, wouldn't you? You'd love to see it.
My bet builder's blown up.
Yeah.
I mean, I have realised that I have literally just basically taken Watford versus Leicester at the end of the Championship season about 2015, but this won't be at the end of the game, so I'll just try and make it a bit different than being a last-minute winner. But yeah, I just wanted to think of something with Fraser, and obviously his penalty against Burton last year when he was supposed to be so good at it wasn't particularly good. So it'd be quite funny to see him get one and miss again, but this time we'll be very happy about it. So, and if we end up scoring on the break, then even better. Although I have to say, JD will give the penalty away. A little bit of.
I've got odds on Charlton to miss a penalty.
Oh, okay. So
22-1 for Charlton to miss the penalty. I don't think you'll be able to do it as a bet builder, but if someone out there was offering it, 22-1 times, let's say the data will be just over evens to score a goal. 8-5 he is. So you're looking at three. Well, put it this way: you'd be looking at three figures. It'd be over 100-1.
How much putting on that?
Audio listeners, there's steam coming out of Bloomer's ears at this point.
Put a cheeky quid on that. Maybe a couple.
Quid. Yeah, why not? Why not? What is the score prediction then, Liam?
I think it'll be 2-1. I think it'll be tight. I don't think, as Matt said, I don't think Charlton are as good as us. They are a bit erratic, but they haven't been until Tuesday night beaten at home, although that's a bit of a shocker against MK Dons on Tuesday night. And the fact that they're missing their centre half because of that can only play into our hands. But it is a big stadium. And we saw last season what can happen when things don't go right. So I don't think we'll walk it. I don't think Charlton are as bad a team as people might think. They're actually right outside the playoffs. So I think it'll be tight, but I think we will do just about enough to win the game in the end. So, yeah, I'm saying 2-1 Town.
Slight correction there. There's no Dons in Milton Keynes, Liam.
Easy thing to say because it's just but yeah, we know what you mean.
I don't care. What you mean. I don't care about them. They're an irrelevant club anyway, so I don't.
There we go. Oh, hello, Milton Keynes fans. Hello, Bloomers. Over to you, my friend. Hot takes for
All four of them.
Yes. Hot takes, my friend.
Yeah. Well, also my maths was completely wrong. It's if you got the 5-1 for the Ladapo first goal scorer combined, then you'd be looking at a over 100-1 payout. And also that broke woke meme that's on Twitter. Broke is Watford v Leicester in the Playoffs semi-final. The woke version is Brentford v Doncaster in the last game of League One in the same season, where exactly the same thing happened. But that goal meant that Doncaster was top of the League One and champions, and 30 seconds before that they were missing out on automatic promotion altogether. So that's the one to remember. Forget Deeney and Watford against Leicester. My it's really a hot take. This first one is that I think we're all going to have a bit of a better time, no matter regardless.
Clip that, Ross. Clip that.
We've referenced it enough times in this podcast. If anyone still doesn't know, we played Charlton in December. I think it was December 7th, 8th last year. Lost 2-0. It was John McGill's interim spell in charge of the club, and the atmosphere was poisonous. And after the game, I was rather annoyed, and Ross happened to stick a microphone in front of me while I was being annoyed, and the resulting comedy gold is on YouTube. I still have never watched it back, although I saw some of it with the sound off. When was it? The other week. So it's funny that, you know, not even a year later, how different things are, and that's just a testament to how far everyone has come in that time. So yeah, it'll be personal retribution if we do win. It'll be nice to lay that ghost to rest. I think a hot take is, and I don't mean to poo-poo this because this is coming from the person who said that we wouldn't win on a Tuesday before the game when it was confirmed that Evans and Morsey were going to miss the game. I think it's that actually we might not get as much success out of this game in terms of attacking prowess as we think. Charlton are a bit of a weird team, really. They were really on an upward trajectory up until Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday when they played MK. And you all just said, you spoke about this, didn't you, just before, and I wasn't listening. That's why MK was mentioned. All right, well, before that, I'm pretty sure you weren't talking about that 1-0 win over Shrewsbury the week before.
No, we weren't. No.
There you go. Then I've saved it. They were on an upward trajectory, and they've got young talent, or Charlton often have young talent. That's never been a problem for them. The Valley have just recently reduced ticket prices because it was a very big bone of contention. They had some of the most expensive tickets in League One, and attendances were suffering for it. I mean, being a London club and you're in the shadow of all of the clubs in the Championship and the Premier League, it's been tough for them. So it'd be interesting to see actually how many of their fans turn up. But the Valley's never really been a happy place for us. There's been a lot of negative games there, going back to the playoffs when it was a two-legged affair. When was it? I think it was in the 90s or 80s. We lost out in the playoffs. I remember being 3-0 down at half time in 2006-07. That was the game then Pablo Cunyago scored his back heel in the second half to make it 3-1. Yeah, I mean, Noel Hunt's goal aside, it's not been the happiest of hunting grounds for us, and it's going to be a difficult game. And at what point do you say, I'm doing a Liam from Crewe diversion here, but it's a kind of a tenuous one. At what point do you say, actually, winning is winning and not winning well doesn't matter as much as we think it does? Because Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich fans have all been saying, oh, yeah, we're winning these games, we're not winning well. Well, actually, maybe it's just that's what winning is in League One. Like, maybe the 5-0s and 6-0s don't actually come out that often. Maybe they are all just 80% wars of attrition. Maybe that's actually that the margins are razor thin. It's just that the good teams are on the right side of it much more often than the bad teams. I think we can all count on maybe one hand the amount of comfortable wins we've had this season. And we've had, 10 of them? 11 of them? 11 of them? So, like, you know, it's the way of League One. And I think it's going to be exactly the same on Saturday. I think that I will predict a win because I haven't actually given a prediction yet. I haven't given a prediction yet on the chat. So I will say 2-1. But I think this is a single goal game either way, or a draw. I don't see any side winning this comfortably, and I don't see us winning it comfortably just because that is League One this season. And you're going on the back of an away game in Staffordshire on Tuesday night, and then an away game in London on Saturday. Like this isn't easy. We were up at St George's Park, I assume the night before as well, midweek. We've certainly left St George's Park on the Tuesday afternoon to go to the stadium because they showed it in the Town and 5. So this does take it out of players. I don't care who you are. The TB12 method hasn't kicked in yet, so it's going to be tough going. And if I need to remind myself of this, and you guys who are all going on Saturday can remind me of this as well on 5 p.m. If we haven't won, is not to get carried away. We have that buffer now. No matter what happens on Saturday, we can't not be in the top 2 come the end of the day.
Yeah, agreed.
So
yeah.
This is me telling myself more than anything else, is that actually, just because it might be another war tradition, and maybe we don't get the rub of the green this time around, it's not the end of the world. That's my hot take.
They're all really valid points you make there, Bloomers, and I think just flipping its head, like I said, and it goes back to what I said about the Port Vale game as well, in that that's a game we would have lost. I'm quite happily winning games like we did on Tuesday night, because we were losing and drawing those games under Paul Cook last season and under Paul Lambert seasons previous to that. And Ross, you'll know this because you see just as much, if not more, of the women's side than I have. With the women's team last year, we spent a good half of the season battering all comers, pretty much up until December when we lost to Oxford, and then the season faded away after that. So and that same as sort of that first season, both those season starts under Lambert, where we raced away. We were winning games by handy scores, but not well, because we had players that were better than sort of other players in the league, rather than having a better team. And we faded away. Whereas this time, I'm quite confident we won't fade away. I think Liam made that good point that it's not so much worrying about Plymouth above us. The fact that we've got 14 points between us and 7th at the moment at the end of October, and keeping that gap going. And every time we've lost twice this season. You know, we've lost to Plymouth, which I still say are the best team that I've seen us play so far this season. We've lost to Lincoln, who did a very good job setting up to nullify what is good about us. You know, and both times we bounced back from that. And I have every confidence, because we will lose again this season. We're not going to go through the whole season only having lost 2 games. You know, we are going to lose again. I'm going for a 3-1 win, because I think we will, but could be this Saturday for all I know. But when we lose again, McKenna and his team will learn from that. They will implement the learning from that, and we'll bounce back. And I really do feel, and I'll be honest with you, I've not felt this confident about sort of teams sort of bouncing back and that since watching Birdie's teams in the late 90s. You know, it does. I'm not going to compare the two because we're different divisional levels, but there's a parallel there that I really do think. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Blimmers. It's not, if we lose on Saturday, it's not the end of the world. Not like if we lost one of these games under Lambert or Cook. Certainly.
So we've given ourselves that buffer now to allow ourselves to have these mistakes. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we didn't have we did have it in the first couple of years under Lambert, but it ended up not being a mistake. It ended up just being
we kept making the same mistake every bloody week. That was the problem, wasn't it? So we went into that buffer at a rate of knots.
Yeah, we weren't good enough. We ended up where we deserved to end up. That was the key thing with that.
I don't think no one's going to disagree with you on that.
I stand by what I said. We weren't a good team. We just had several quality players that were still championship level that we'd managed to retain after getting relegated. Whereas we had, as a unit, we have a better unit now, and that's shown by how they celebrate, you know, and that's also shown by how they get around each other and come and sort of support each other during the adverse moments as well. That's the difference between now and then. Just so we don't end this segment and the pod as a whole on a downer note, I will just give us a glimmer of hope going into the weekend. The Not the Top 20 podcast, which I listen to every time they make a podcast. George and Ali, very, very good opinions and analysis. They do a betting show on a Thursday, and they both have Ipswich to win as their next best bet. And George's quote, and I'll paraphrase it slightly, but it was, at the level of performance currently, this is a League Two side playing against a Championship side. You don't need to tell you which side is what. So he's going against my opinion that Charlton actually aren't that bad, but they are purring about the way that we're operating our business now, and how the underlying numbers suggest that actually we're a couple of steps above Sheffield Wednesday and Plymouth right now. Whether you like to believe in those underlying sort of XG style numbers is up to you, but put it this way, they are confident in us winning, and in turn that gives me confidence as well going into Saturday.
It's always the sign of a really good team when you win, when you're not playing well, and there will always be. Even you look at Man City right now in the Premier League, and people are wondering, are anyone going to get near them with Haaland scoring goals left, right and centre, and the way Guardiola plays? But they're going to have off days. They're going to have games where they don't perform, and they end up maybe scraping a result when you'd expect them to end up battering someone. So it's going to happen all season. I think League One, it's a competitive league. It's like a mini championship, the top half of it. A lot of those clubs are championship size, should probably be in the championship right now. So it isn't an easy league. And especially when you go away to some of these smaller clubs, smaller grounds, it can be challenging. We saw that at Morecambe. We all thought we were going to go there and batter them, and we ended up managing to win in the end, but we had to do it the hard way by going behind. And we're going to have games like that, but if we can keep winning while not playing well, then we will be absolutely fine this season. And it is the sign of a very good side, which bodes really well for us going forward.
Well, I enjoyed that, gentlemen. That was a very good conversation. I just was sitting in the background, nodding my head like a dog, and it was good conversation, boys. So well done for that. I hope everyone at home enjoyed listening to that. I think that's the best way to end the podcast. But as always, any other business, Matt Makin, got anything, my friend?
Just comment on having made a little parallel there with the women's team earlier. Just comment on obviously after not a great start to the season, we're not five wins on the bounce, or five games with undefeated on the bounce in the league now. Annoyingly, fixtures have been chopped and changed a bit, in that there's no game this weekend, but there's obviously the rearranged cup game against #United on the 6th of November. Venue TBC, as the AGL isn't available, so I suspect it'll probably be at Playford Road. But the women's team, it's a much more open league. It's a much more competitive league this season, I think. And we're starting to, we've got games in hand over the teams above us. We're level on points with Portsmouth now. There's only Watford and Oxford in front of us, and we've got games in hand. So yeah, it's good to see after having had a ropey start. We're they're getting off, and Tonk Milton Keynes 5-1 in Felix Day. Yeah, you and I got a bit soaked on Sunday, didn't we, mate?
Yeah, we did indeed. It's a nice opportunity to plug, of course, Track the Girls Talk if you haven't listened to already. With me, Blue Wilson, and Anna Gray, Player of the Month for September. So check it out if you haven't already. Always good. Liam from Crewe, any other business, my friend?
Needham are playing Harpenden in the FA Cup on Sunday. If you fancy a game,
And Bloomers, any other business from you, my friend?
I'm not sure it's going to be more wanted, but big weekend for NFL. Anyone is interested, anyone wants to know what it's all about. Tom Brady's playing tonight at 1:20 a.m. So if anyone who needs a cure for their insomnia, watch the Buccaneers offense at the moment. The Jacksonville Jaguars are playing at Wembley. It's the NFL Wembley game this Sunday, so actually it's a very big weekend. London's unofficial team, Jacksonville, will be playing at Wembley against the Denver Broncos. I'll be going to that one. That should be a good fun. And if you do like NFL, and this is the most shameless plug of all time, and I can't believe Ross is going to let me do this, tjbloomfield.medium.com is my website where I'm writing some NFL stuff every week. I actually do a little bit of journalism. I am accredited, so not quite as good as Ross, and certainly not as good as Matt's match reports for the ladies. But I've got some NFL previews for every week, and they're at a betting angle as well. So if you like that kind of thing, there you go. There you are, Matt. You've got what your match reports plugged as well.
You're making me blush, Bloomers.
Making. Did you see that? Did you see what he did there?
Yeah. I like it. Liam, sorry, carry on. I did cut you off there. Carry on if you want, my friend.
I was literally only joking. I wouldn't want anyone to go to Luton.
FA Cup. Is that right?
That's the women's FA Cup. Yeah.
Oh, that's why I was confused. Yeah.
Well, of course, we're going to be going to Bracknell Town in a few weeks' time. That'll be the next game after Charlton, because we've got another games, have we? It's basically FA Cup weekend. So that'll be very interesting.
There's more than one Needham team in the FA Cup still, which is rare. So
Needham going to Burton, of course. That'll be interesting. I'm sure a lot of people, if you can't go to Bracknell, go and support Needham Market, because they're another local team. Always good to.
Will you be at Bracknell, Ross?
Hopefully, you never know. Soon that's gonna be one of the, because it's a Monday night. So many people are wanting to go, so hopefully I can get there, and we'll bring you a game day and everything, and we'll see all that sort of stuff. But Bloomers, Liam from Crewe, Matt, thank you very much for joining me for another Fan Social. Everyone's enjoyed, another great podcast. Of course, got to plug our sponsors at Manscaped. Use the code KOA. You get 20% off and free delivery at manscaped.com. Of course, follow us on all our socials, Matt Makin, Bloomers, Liam from Crewe, and of course, Kings of Anglia, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and all the other bits and bobs we do. If you are going to the game, enjoy. If you're not, follow the game with us. And we'll be back next week for more podcasts, more videos, and all great stuff. Bye for now.